On July 6, 2011, a small passenger turboprop Beech 190, Flight 368, flying to Greenville, South Carolina, USA, went left and vertically upward on takeoff at 10:45 local time before flipping over and crashing into a U.S. airline hangar. Airways at Charlotte International Airport. The tragedy killed nearly everyone aboard the small passenger plane, 17 passengers and 2 crew members. 2 other people, including passenger Cassandra Clare, were reported missing. The following radio message, with minor corrections and abbreviations, was transmitted on a frequency rarely used today and was intercepted by an amateur radio operator in North Carolina. He recorded the message and turned it over to the police. An investigation was launched, which revealed that the town of East River mentioned in the message was not on a map of the United States. The recording was considered a joke, and the case was closed. What seemed interesting about the recording was that strange whispering sounds were heard in the last minute. Independent experts deny the possibility that these sounds were human, believing that they belonged to an animal or were created artificially. The whereabouts of passenger Cassandra Clare on Flight 368 have not yet been determined.
Can anyone hear me? My name is Cassandra Clare. Something terrible has happened to me. I think I've lost my mind. I was on Flight 368 from Charlotte to Greenville. Nothing strange was going on, except a little shaking on departure. Enough time had passed and I was already worried about why we still hadn't landed. It wasn't until 3 hours later that the plane started to land. As soon as we landed, I immediately rushed to the gate because I was very late due to the long flight. At the time it seemed strange to me that no one got up from their seats or made any movements. Now I think I understand why. As soon as I got out, I saw that we were not in Greenville, but in some other city. We must have had an emergency landing, I thought, but I didn't bother getting back on the plane. The airport was completely empty. It must have been out of service a long time ago, because the scoreboard on the wall was not electronic and showed flights from 79. I walked on, hoping to find a place to eat in the city. The streets were deserted. There were no moving cars or pedestrians. But old cars from the 60s and 70s were parked everywhere. There was thick, heavy fog everywhere. As I walked, I had the strange feeling that someone was watching me from around the corner. I turned around, but saw no one. A small shiver ran through my body, and drops of sweat broke out on my forehead. Something very strange is going on here, I thought. Finally, I found a run-down, average-looking store. When I entered it, there was no one there. No salesman, no customers. But my anxiety only increased. Now it felt like invisible eyes were watching me from all sides, waiting for something from me. I looked through the groceries. They were all expired. I picked up a package of candy and looked at the date of manufacture. 1979. I rushed to the cash register table with the old receipt on it. It had the date on it. May 14, 1979. My legs buckled. No one had lived in this town for 32 years. I jogged to the airport, forgetting my things in the store. Omnipresent, invisible eyes followed me. The air rang in my ears, and I felt as if someone was whispering in my ear. It was unbearable. I ran into the airport and looked out the window. My heart sank. There was no plane. It flew away, leaving me alone in an empty city. I could no longer stand and collapsed to my knees. Tears flowed from my eyes, and I couldn't stop them. I knelt in the middle of the abandoned airport and cried. Then I screamed, hoping that the plane and all those who were there would somehow hear me and take me away from this hell. I screamed as hard as I could, hoarse to the point of a headache. Then I ran out of strength, and I lost consciousness. I woke up from being dragged by the wrists across the tiles toward the exit. They were human hands, but they reeked of icy cold. I had no strength to break free from their grip, and I lost consciousness again. When I woke up, I found myself at a fork in the road. My legs were completely unresponsive, and my head was hard to turn. My whole body was stiff, as if I had been nailed to the road with thousands of nails. I lay on the bare pavement for about half an hour. Then, summoning up all my remaining willpower, I slowly got up. My legs were still cotton and I could barely move. I decided to find myself a car to get out. There were little one-story houses all around me, but there were no cars anywhere. I walked from block to block, but I couldn't find a single car. It was like they had all disappeared. As I walked, something started following me again from everywhere. From the windows of houses, from the bushes, from behind poles. Suddenly I saw the figure of a girl appear out of the fog. I was petrified and stared at her. She didn't even look in my direction. She just ran past me and soon disappeared into the fog. There was something strange about her. Only when I remembered her in hindsight did I realize that the girl was transparent, as if she were made of that mist. I got hysterical. I ran in the opposite direction. I just ran without looking back. Meanwhile, life in the city stirred. Cars appeared out of nowhere, with the same blurry ghost people sitting in them. The ghosts came out of the houses, as if they were going to work. All their empty eyes stared at me, but the ghosts continued on their way. Finally, I reached the end of the city. A sign floated out of the fog in front of me that read, "You are leaving the city of East River. Have a safe trip." I couldn't run anymore, so I walked slower. I'd been walking for maybe 3 hours, and the fog wasn't lifting. It seemed to me that it was getting closer and closer, and soon it would swallow me up and drag me back to that hellhole. I couldn't think about anything, because I was hungry. It all seemed like a dream, and I was about to wake up in the comfort of a dry airplane seat. But unfortunately, it wasn't a dream. Soon I saw another sign, and I was hot and my body was sweating. It read, "Welcome to East River. Population 2306. I've been living in an abandoned store for 3 weeks now. The canned goods are already running out. I can see them. They're outside. Just standing there, looking at me, not going anywhere. Probably waiting for me to let them in. I found a device at the local radio station that can transmit a signal. It seems to work, although I can only transmit on one wave. I don't know if everything here is real, or if I'm already lying in some asylum and it's all a hallucination. I learned that these monsters can only walk in fog, otherwise they disappear. Even though I turned on the 3 fans I found here, the fog is still slowly seeping through the door crack. If anyone can hear me, get me out of here. I'm in the East River. I'm in the East River. And I'm not the only one here.